So hello fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728. And it seems like public speaking tends to make us cry. And I don't even think that it is in any way conscious or planned. It's just the idea that other people, they don't even apparently have to be present. The idea that other people, several other people, are it's just the idea, tends to make us cry, especially if we talk about things that might be personal. And I don't even think that these things have to be very sad. They just have to be a little sad, and we just being aware we don't even have to see these other people around can probably bring us to tears. I was looking at, there's this lady who is a figure in the YouTube beauty community, and she was making a video where she was apologizing to this a very famous YouTuber, James Charles, I believe his name is, and she was revealing what spurred her to make a video that she made that really cut him, as if she was throwing him to the wolves. She didn't cry at that time. I guess it didn't have anything to do with her. So she wasn't crying, and I guess especially as she wasn't apologizing. And she wasn't talking about how the toll that it had taken on her, having made that video to expose him. No, she was crying. She said she told herself that she wouldn't cry. And YouTubers tend to make these things by themselves, and she wasn't talking to anybody else. So here she was crying by herself, and she probably didn't cry when she was writing it. And I saw Will Smith, and he was talking, I think on Father's Day, with his wife on the red couch, and he started to cry about him and his father, and about Willow. And again, well, in his case, there's a lot of film crew that are probably at his house, so he has people there. But still, I think the idea that it's going out to a large audience, that can make you feel vulnerable and can make you cry. There is a guy, August, I don't know exactly what his name is, I can't remember, but he was talking about his relationship, and he said several times that it wasn't romantic with Jada Pinkett Smith, and about his sister dying, etc., and I think his brother dying as well, and he was brought to tears even as he was talking to his interviewer, Angela Yee from the Breakfast Club. And I was just wondering, I was like, he talked about a lot of pain and stuff that he had, and I don't know anything about his life. I am just a cynic. And I was thinking, was it really that painful? But I really don't know. It could have been horrible. It could have been, everything that he was talking about. And it probably was. I don't know anything about his life, but I'm just, especially as it's a guy, But no, about the beauty lady, I was being a little bit cynical there as well. But for me personally, I remember several incidents where I did not expect myself to be teary-eyed or crying for no specifically good reason. When I moved to a new school, and I was a young person, the teacher wanted to understand who everybody was. So she went around the class asking people, please stand up, tell me who you are, where you live, your family arrangements, blah, blah, blah. And everybody said it fine. And then she came to me, and, I was telling her that I had moved to new place in order to come to the school, and she's asking me. I guess it came to the fact that there were no other kids around that I ever saw at the place where I lived. That really wasn't a big deal to me. I didn't really care too much. But I guess feeling exposed like that made me teary-eyed, and I don't know if I actually displayed. I probably did display some tears, and I felt bad about it afterwards. I'm thinking, how can this lady end up bringing me to tears? That wasn't cool. But I don't think she was. Of course, she didn't plan anything like that. But I think just me seeing myself through the questions that she was asking me, and this being my first day of school or something like that, here I was, and I was like, God, I'm embarrassed, As it turned out, I didn't really have any friends at that school in the end, but that was partly because I like to read so much, so I didn't really put much time into making friends. And really, if I had just been able to say the fact that I didn't care too much about that, then everything probably would have been alright. It just was a question of me feeling that there's something wrong with this. And I guess, on many levels there is something wrong with it, but I didn't want to swap any of the time that I spent reading, investing in a friendship, honestly. So it's just to know that it was okay, I guess. But well, I guess I did have a friend, or friends. That's a little bit extreme of me to say that I absolutely didn't have any friends whatsoever. But that was probably the case. I just had, colleagues or classmates or something. But yeah, and then another time I was talking at my grandmother's eulogy, and for the whole time I was away on a trip when she died, and I came back, I saw her in the coffin, and it just didn't look like her. But throughout the whole thing I didn't really feel too wrought with the sadness. So I was there, reading the eulogy or just talking about her, and in the midst of me talking about her and looking up from the page to see these people who were listening to me, I suddenly felt this, I don't know what the word is, but something was stuck in my throat, and suddenly I was wrought with sadness at that point, to the point where my words croaked out, and it was really hard for me to continue for a moment there. It was really strange because it wasn't planned. I didn't see it coming at all. Even as I was reading this thing, I looked up and I saw the people, and boop, it hit me. And of course, if I'm reading it by myself, or if, silently or openly, there's nobody to look up to and see people watching you and feel vulnerable, I suppose. And then you're like, oop, something sticks in your throat there. And there was some movie, I think it's definitely Any Given Sunday, I think it was, with Jamie Foxx, and in it, somebody was mentioning the fact that footballers would do whatever stuff, and then they would come onto this radio program and cry, and everything would be better. And of course, at the time, it's funny, and you think to yourself, oh, it's all contrived. They just come here and fake this whole thing. But if it's a show, and I mean, this is probably a satire or a parody of something that is already out there. I think Brian Gumble he might have had a show in real life that was like that football players would come on and cry, talking about their lives maybe. But if people are parodying a show, then it probably is a place on TV where people come and happen to cry. And if you think about it, can people really come and blubber? I mean, some people can probably fake it, but if you're gonna cry with dry tears, then people are gonna see right through you. But how likely is it that people will actually come on to a show and each one of these people talking about themselves, they're not actors, they're football players, and yet they all find themselves blubbering? So I think it's something about being vulnerable, talking about yourself and your past, knowing that there are other people, not just the person that you're talking to, who are listening, and that makes that vulnerability. And I don't usually feel very scared public speaking. People say that they'd rather die. They have people fear public speaking more than they fear death. I do have often a little bit of reservation about it, a little bit of fear about it, and then I realize, who cares? And I just keep going. So for me, it's not that I'm so afraid and scared of these people that I'm looking at. I can't really say what it is, but it does seem to bring out the tears in us. So anyway, guys, wish me lucks. LUCSS. You can like or unlike, you can comment, subscribe, and or share. And of course, I don't prefer it, but you can do nothing. Peace.